While everyone else was fighting for scraps, the Houston Rockets pulled off a move so genius that it's almost criminal. How did they manage to build an elite roster without anyone noticing? It's June 30th, 2025, and while the rest of the NBA was scrambling to sign big names and make flashy trades, the Houston Rockets executed a near-perfect maneuver. Dorian Finney-Smith, a 41% three-point shooter, was added to their roster, alongside Clint Capella, a former rebounding champion. No media circus, no bombshell announcements. Just the Rockets quietly making some of the most calculated moves of the offseason. The basketball world didn't blink, but this could be the most significant move of the year. To understand just how insane these moves were, let's set the stage. The Rockets had just finished second in the Western Conference and had a talented roster led by Kevin Durant and the up-and-coming Alperen Sengun, who was already making All-Star appearances. Then there's Amen Thompson, who looks poised to win Defensive Player of the Year. This young core was already among the best in the league, but despite all their talent, they were bounced in the first round by the 7th-seeded Golden State Warriors. What went wrong? The answer is simple: depth. The Rockets didn't need just stars. They needed more pieces that fit perfectly around their established stars. It's a lesson learned the hard way. With Dillon Brooks traded away in the Kevin Durant deal, the team lost a crucial perimeter defender. If they were going to make a deeper playoff run, they had to fill this gap, and quickly. They didn't panic, though. Instead of overpaying for another headline player or throwing away valuable young assets, the Rockets played the free agency game to perfection. Let's start with Dorian Finney-Smith. He was signed for a 4-year, $53 million contract. When you look at his stats, 41% from three, his best shooting season yet, it seems like a steal. What makes this even more impressive is his defensive versatility. Finney-Smith is the only player in the entire NBA who defended all 5 positions for at least 15 half-court matchups per game last season. That's right, he's been locking down point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, and even centers. At 6 feet 7 inches, 220 pounds, he is a defensive Swiss Army knife, capable of handling the toughest matchups. But there's more to Finney-Smith's game than just defense. When he's the primary defender, opposing players shoot 5% worse, which might not sound like much, but that's a huge difference between a good shooter and a poor one. And on offense, he's no slouch either. His catch-and-shoot percentage from beyond the arc is an elite 43%. That's perfect for a team that will have playmakers like Kevin Durant and Alperen Sengun, who can create opportunities for shooters like Finney-Smith. In a league where versatile players are a premium, the Rockets have just snagged a player who can defend any position while spacing the floor with deadly shooting. This is the kind of player championship teams are made of, and the Rockets got him for a bargain price. Now let's talk about Clint Capella. This isn't just a return for a former Rocket, it's the perfect reunion. Capella was once a raw, athletic center who was drafted by the Rockets in 2014 and quickly became a key piece of their system. By 2019, he was helping Houston push the Golden State Warriors to 7 games in the playoffs. But in 2020, Capella was traded to the Atlanta Hawks in a salary dump. Since then, he's quietly become one of the best rebounders in the league, leading the NBA with 14.3 rebounds per game during the 2020 to 2021 season. But as the years passed, his role in Atlanta diminished. Then came June 30th, 2025, when the Rockets brought him back for just 3 years, $21 million. This contract is backup center money for a starting caliber player. It's an absolute steal. Why is this such a genius move? Let's break it down. Capella's bread and butter has always been his ability to finish lobs. With Sengun's elite passing from the high post, Capella's skills will fit seamlessly into the Rockets' offense. He's also an elite screen setter, which will create space for shooters like Durant to work their magic. Not to mention, Capella is still averaging 1 block per game. And in a system that emphasizes defense, his numbers are bound to improve. But there's a hidden value here too. Capella knows the Rockets' culture inside and out. He knows what it takes to succeed in this organization, and he's been through the highs and lows. His IQ, effort, and leadership make him the perfect mentor for the Rockets' young core. So now the Rockets have two perfect role players, FinneySmith and Capella, who fit seamlessly into their system for less than $21 million combined. But here's where this gets even more dangerous for the rest of the league. The Rockets didn't just fill gaps, they've completed their roster. Every weakness that was exposed in their playoff loss to the Warriors has been addressed. FinneySmith provides defensive stability and shooting, while Capella brings rebounding and rim protection. Together, these two moves elevate the Rockets to another level without breaking the bank. The rest of the NBA might have missed this, but the Rockets saw an opportunity and they capitalized on it. But there's more to this story, and in the next section, we'll dive into how these moves set them up for a deep playoff run. The Rockets' biggest weakness last season was depth. When it mattered most, they couldn't rely on their bench to hold leads or change the tempo. Now that's completely flipped, with Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson running the backcourt, Kevin Durant providing unstoppable scoring, Jabari Smith Jr. stepping up as a versatile forward, and Alperen Şengün dominating the paint. Houston already had a solid starting five. But the real magic begins when you look at the bench. Bringing in Dorian Finney-Smith and Clint Capella doesn't just give the Rockets options, it unlocks endless lineup possibilities. Want to go small and fast? They can run VanVleet, Thompson, Durant, Finney-Smith, and Şengün. Need to play big and physical? Throw Capella and Steven Adams on the floor together for a twin tower approach? Want chaos and mismatches? Let Durant handle the ball as a point forward while Finney-Smith slides down to guard centers. The Rockets can now adapt to any opponent's style, something they simply couldn't do last season. What's even more impressive is how Houston managed this financially. While other teams are paying backup point guards or aging veterans $20 million a year, the Rockets locked in two crucial players for the same combined cost. Kevin Durant remains their superstar at $51 million. VanVleet and Şengün together cost about $60 million, and the rest of the core is on extremely team-friendly contracts. That financial flexibility allows them to stay competitive now while preparing for the future. The age balance is perfect too. You have young stars like Şengün and Smith Jr. just beginning to peak, combined with experienced veterans like Durant, VanVleet, Finney-Smith, and Capella. It's a blend that every front office dreams about. Players who can win now, while also grooming the next generation to take over when the time comes. It's fair to ask, why didn't other teams jump on Finney-Smith and Capella? The simple answer is that most front offices were too busy chasing big names and headline-grabbing deals. They focused on hype instead of fit. Houston, meanwhile, looked at what actually wins games: defense, rebounding, spacing, and chemistry. The Rockets didn't care about making a splashy move for the headlines. They cared about building a real contender, and that's exactly what they did. The rest of the Western Conference should be worried. The Thunder may have the reigning title and a young core, and the Nuggets still have Jokic at his peak. But the Rockets just became the scariest, complete team in the West. Everyone else? They're playing catch-up. Another hidden advantage is culture. Finney-Smith is known as a quiet professional who never complains, always makes a smart play, and brings positive energy to the locker room. Capella, after years away, is returning to a city and franchise that shaped his career. When you combine that with Ime Udoka's defensive-minded coaching style, you get a team culture that's focused, hungry, and ready to prove everyone wrong. Culture isn't something you can measure on a stat sheet, but it decides who fights hardest in a Game 7. It's the difference between a team that collapses under pressure and one that thrives. Houston has quietly built one of the most cohesive and motivated groups in the league.